Welcome to Your Inner Power with Krista. This podcast is for the deeply intuitive ones, the curious ones, and the ones who follow their own path and embrace their uniqueness. We'll chat about all things spiritual, life's adventures, and always go back to deep self-trust because it's all within you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Last week, I did an Instagram Live, and this Instagram Live was all about some of my mind-blowing spiritual experiences. And I had so much fun with this live that I decided, why not share it on the podcast? So that is today's episode. I'm going to be sharing that Instagram Live all about some of my most mind-blowing spiritual experiences. Before I share it, I just want to mention how important and crucial it is to speak about our spiritual experiences. Because not only does it help us remember who we truly are, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but it helps us remember that we are all interconnected, that we are all experiencing these things, but we have been so conditioned to think it's taboo, to think it's weird, to be afraid that the person next to us is going to think there's something wrong with us. And I want to throw that all away. I want to throw that all in the garbage and begin to share freely about our spiritual experiences. And I'm going first today by sharing this, but I would love to hear from you because I'm sure that you can relate to these experiences and that you've had many, many, many of your own. So if you would like to share, I would love if you wanted to email me, or you can DM me on Instagram and share some of your spiritual experiences. Without further ado, here is the live. Enjoy. I decided to come on live again because I just had so much fun the other day. And this live is going to be even more exciting because we're talking about some personal spiritual experiences that I have had and that have literally blown my mind, and you just can't write them. You just can't write them. So I wanted to share a little bit about some experiences that I've had because I want to really normalize this. Like, that's the point. That's why I'm here sharing, because I know so many of you can relate to these experiences. Like, you've had similar experiences, and it's because these experiences are so freaking normal, like so normal and natural. And I want to talk about them more. Like, I want them to be in conversation. Like, I want this to be the thing that you speak about. Like, that's the type of friends that I want to call in, that we chat about our spiritual experiences and we go deep, because it's fascinating. It's so fascinating. So I have a few like kind of categories. I wrote down each of the experiences that I have. So I have like a little notebook here just so I can remember, and I put them into some categories. We'll see how many we kind of get through. And if you want to share your spiritual experiences as well, I would love that. If you want to put that in the comments, I would love to see kind of what you've experienced as well, if it's similar to the things that I've experienced, because I'm sure what you have experienced is not very different from my experiences. And the more that we can speak about it, the more that we can normalize it, that's what we're meant to do here, because we have so much conditioning around this, of this being like weird or taboo, and it's really, really not. Like, we're all one, we all experience the same thing, so why not speak about these incredible things? Like, these moments where you're just like, did that just happen? Was that real? Like, those glitches in the Matrix, they're pretty cool. So I'm gonna start off with the first category, and the first category might surprise you, but it's spirit babies. And you might be like, Krista, you don't have any babies. You're not pregnant. Why are you talking about spirit babies? And it's because I've had so many experiences with my own spirit babies in the beginning of my spiritual journey. They came in so strongly, and I was kind of like, why is this happening? What does this mean? And they were just starting the connection. That's all it really was. But then as I began reading others' Akashic records, I started to notice that spirit babies would come in for them. And they started to receive messages. And I worked with many women where they're either trying to get pregnant, or they even have jobs where they're like bringing in babies into the world in some capacity. So I think that's really interesting as well. So my initial kind of connection with spirit babies was with my own when I started my journey, and they just came in so strongly. So one of the first times they came in, as I said, it was in the beginning of my spiritual journey. I was very like, am I making this up? What is going on? Is this real? So I had a session booked with a medium, and I decided to call in the spirit babies before the session with the medium. So before my session, I just decided to say like, hey, if this is real, if you guys have actually been communicating with me, tell the medium. Like, tell the medium to tell me that there's spirit babies around in some capacity, please, because I want to validate, because I've had so many experiences where I was like, spirit babies for sure, but like, you know, I need something here. I need something, because it felt like so kind of confusing, because I wasn't trying to get pregnant. I wasn't in that time in my life. So I didn't really fully understand. So I told them, you know, come to the reading. So PS, the medium was like, are you pregnant or trying to get pregnant? Because I feel 2 spirit babies here. And I always felt 2, same for me. Like, that was such validation and really like solidified that connection for me. Like, sometimes we just need that outside evidence, outside validation. And that's why it's wonderful to get readings, even when you can read for yourself and connect in with yourself. It's wonderful to kind of get that outside person sometimes when you need it. So that was so cool and validating, and that opened up even more for me. And I trusted even more deeply after that experience. So that was really cool. Another experience that I had that was probably one of the most wild experiences I've ever had regarding spirit babies, because it was a physical experience. And typically I don't see like apparitions. I don't typically like see with my physical eye in that way, because I personally would be scared. Like, I do not want to see ghosts, don't want to see spirits. That's not what I'm looking for. Some people love it. Some people are like, give me all of it. And I'm just like, no, can you just come to me in my head through a knowing? I think that's better. So this experience actually was physical. So I was in that kind of in-between state when you're in bed and you're not sleeping, but you're also not kind of fully awake. And I think that's a wonderful time to connect. And I actually saw one of my spirit babies next to my bed, like run next to my bed. And it was like an outline like kind of like an apparition, but also it was like blue and star-like and like cosmic. It was very, very cool. And right away I felt like, I knew for sure, I was like, this is my future child right here. Like, I feel this. And it was such a kind of jarring experience, just because, as I said, it kind of does frighten me slightly to see things, but also like so cool. Like, I was like, what is going on right now? But it was really like, I felt this like pull. It was almost like our energies were connecting in some way. And that was just one of the most special and beautiful experiences I've had with my future children that will eventually come earthside. Another thing was as I said, I've connected with many other people's spirit babies, and I had an experience where I love that, Amber. Amber said my son's future spirit baby visited me and now I have a connection with him. See, yeah, they do come in, and they'll come in even beforehand. Like, so for me, as I said, like, I'm not trying to get pregnant, but it's about preparing me. Like, we need to be able to connect. Like, I need to be able to hold the babies that are going to come in. We need to have that same kind of energetic frequency. So it's about preparing me to be able to do that. And I feel that they're really guiding me on my journey. And as I said, they came in very strongly within the spiritual awakening. She said he's only 18, so please wait. Yes. Yeah, I understand that one. Okay, so the other thing that has happened was with someone in my life, I received the name of their future child many years prior to them conceiving. And I actually wound up looking back at my journals where I recorded the name just before the baby was born. And I wasn't sure like why I was coming across that journal entry at that time, but I knew there was probably a reason for it, and I should probably tell that person. P.S. I told that person, they said that's what we are naming our baby, and the rest is kind of history. So that was pretty cool. And it was just, that was one of the most beautiful experiences, because it was also the time when I first started doing public readings. So it was like the baby was not only saying like, this is the name that I want, so make sure I get this name, but also it was like a sign for me that I'm on the right path of kind of moving forward in the way that I'm moving forward. So that was very cool. Another experience I had was someone's spirit baby came to me randomly when I was taking a bath. A lot of times I get downloads when I'm in water, like whether I'm in the shower or in the bath. And it just kind of popped in. I heard it. It was, I'm coming early. And I was like, And it sounded like a child's voice, like, hey, I'm coming early. And lo and behold, the baby did come early. So that was a very cool experience as well. And also within all of these experiences, I like to share how some of them are like when I'm actually intending to connect in some way, whether that's like reading my Akashic records or in a meditation or something like that. And then some of them are just like when I'm, just doing me throughout my life. And that just shows how we're always connected. And I always say, you're probably sick of me saying this, but like you don't have to be in a meditative state to receive information, to receive downloads in any capacity. So those were a few of my spirit baby stories. I have quite a few, but this is not going to be an extremely long live. The next section we are going into is my grandmother. So many of you know that my grandmother passed a few months ago, and I was extremely close with her, like closest person in my entire life, my number one person in my life. So obviously that was a difficult experience, but I am so connected with her, and through her transition process, things opened up for me even more. Like wild things happened, and it was just, it was crazy. It was really, really crazy. I'm actually wearing her necklace right now. But it was just really, really crazy. So I want to just share a couple of the things that happened with her. So I actually had a dream, a very vivid dream, I would say a couple months before she actually passed, that she was going to pass. And it was a very vivid dream. Like I saw everything. I really remember it. Like, some dreams, like you get bits and pieces, but you can't fully like see it. That dream was like a movie. Like I could reiterate everything back to you. And it was basically that she told me, she was like in the hospital going to pass, and I was there, and she was saying that it's time. Like, she looked at me and she said, it's time. I held her hand and she passed away. That was the dream. And I woke up obviously feeling a little bit uneasy about that. What does this mean? Is this a literal meaning? Is this just symbolizing something? And I received a download later on that this is about you trusting in her timing, trusting that she knows exactly when it's her soul's time to transition, and to just keep leaning back on that over and over and over again, because it was a difficult time. And hearing that and receiving that download was really, really helpful, because I just would lean back on that again and again. P.S. The way she passed happened to be very, very, very similar to the dream and what I experienced. So when she actually did pass, it was me noticing her breathing's going down. And, I was there with family, and she passed. And it was in a similar kind of situation that I saw within the dream. And I realized after that she was really preparing me, and that dream helped me so much to trust in her timing. Like, that's what I kept coming back to again and again. I didn't worry so much about like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, it's a difficult situation when someone is sick and they could pass, and it's someone close to you and all of that. So leaning back on that again and again was so helpful for me. But then it was really wild to actually be, having the experience where it was like literally the dream. And even at the time that she was passing, I like looked out the window, and it was this experience of like, it wasn't deja vu, but it was like I was so present in the moment that like I can't even explain it. Can't put it into words. Maybe someone can relate to this, but it was just like everything was in the here and now, and it was like supposed to be that way, and it like was that way, and just a wild experience, and obviously difficult but beautiful at the same time. Another experience that I had with her was something with telepathy, which is pretty cool, and something that I think is becoming more normalized and talked about more. And oh yes, eternal moment. I love that. Yes, exactly. Eternal moment. That's what it felt like. Okay, so yes, what was I saying? So the telepathy experience. So when my grandma was very ill, she was unable to really speak towards the end, and she couldn't really say anything. And there came a moment where, we wanted to help her, but we didn't really know what she was feeling exactly, how to help her, what to do. So I decided just in my head to be like, what do you need? Like, give us a sign, give us something, tell us what you need. And I kid you not, like seconds later, she talked and said a full sentence of the exact answer. And I was like, oh my God. And everyone was pretty like shocked that she said something. But then I was like, I just asked her for that answer in my head. So that was like, whoa, very, very wild. Okay. If anyone relates to any of these, I would love to hear, especially with people who are in that kind of transition state, passing away. I think that's a time where they're more connected, and we can kind of connect in more easily with them. I've noticed that within my own experience. So if anyone else has noticed that as well, I would love to hear your experience. Okay, next section, signs. I love signs. Everyone loves signs, and they can get you, right? They're just like, oh, another sign, another sign. But sometimes the signs are like really, really mind-blowing. Like, okay, so let me tell you about these two signs. So one day I was going to New York City, actually. I was going to the city, and I don't know what I was struggling with at the time. This was a couple years ago. I was struggling with something at that point in time, and I asked for some guidance on the drive there. And then all of a sudden, I felt kind of 3 blue angels come around me. Like, they were the ones, I guess, that were helping me. So I was like, okay, I feel these kind of 3 blue angels. And I guess I got the information that I need to get. I don't even remember, because that's not even the point. Like, that's not even the cool part. The cool part is that I felt these 3 blue angels. And then I go to Bryant Park, actually, and there was a stand that was called the 3 Angels. Okay, that's pretty cool. It gets better. Then after that, we parked next to Blue Angel Hotel. What? How? Like, that is just, that to me was so cool. And actually, part of the reason why I can tell you these stories now is that I write down most of my experiences, which I highly recommend doing, because no matter how mind-blowing they are, unfortunately, our little brains forget. I know I forget, so I write everything down. Okay, next sign is about my grandfather. One day, it was right before I got married, actually. It was the day before I got married. I was driving with my husband, and I was just kind of thinking in my head, like, how my grandpa won't be there, and he hasn't seen this version of me and all of this stuff, whatever I was thinking. Obviously he has, but not physically. And then seconds later, kid you not, first of all, also my grandfather had a different name, like it's not a common name. We drive by a house and his name is written on the lawn, like in letters. There's a sign in his name. I was like, what is happening? And that was so beautiful, especially because it was right before my wedding. It was such validation that, like, he's there, he's there. So that was a really beautiful one too. And I love talking about this stuff because, as I said, this just normalizes these experiences. These things are normal. And when you put those calls out there, when you say, I'm open to this, that is what you receive. That is what you receive. So if you want more signs, if you want more synchronicities, if you want more experiences, just put the call out there. Put the call out there and be persistent. Keep asking. Because even if you don't get it right away, trust that if you are asking, you will receive. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about full body experiences. Okay, so in the beginning of my journey, I was reading this astrology book because I was, excited about every piece of spirituality. I was exploring everything, so I got myself an astrology book. Little did I know that astrology for me is so difficult to understand and complicated. That's not my forte. I think it's so interesting, but for me to grasp it is kind of hard. So I was reading this astrology book and they were talking about the birth time. And in that moment, I had this flashback full body experience, remembering the moment I was born, literally remembering the moment that I was merging with my body fully and coming into the world. And it was this sense of it was almost jumping in, yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to do it. And it was just then I was there in the body fully. And it was one of the most really beautiful experiences because I think obviously this planet is not easy and this life is not easy, and the density and the polarity and clearly it's not easy. And I think it was such a reminder that life is a gift, about even though everything is difficult, even though it's really hard to be here, even though it's hard to see separation, that it's a gift to be here. Like, our soul chose to be here, and my soul chose to be here at this point in time. And I came into this life saying, let's freaking do this. Let's do this. And I keep going back to that remembrance of that, especially in the difficult moments, to just be a reminder that it is such a gift to be in a body right now and to live life. So that was a really cool experience. The other full body experience that I had, I'm just going to take a sip of my water because I keep talking. Again, feel free to share any of your experiences. Okay, this one, another full body experience. So when I began kind of merging my recipe business with my Akashic Records reading, spirituality business, there was a point in between where I created some classes. And one of the classes that I created was about signs. And I talked about how to kind of uncover the signs, to understand the signs, and all the signs around us all the time. And I created this class, and I was just watching it back to kind of check over the audio and check that everything was good. And as I was watching this class, I started hysterically crying, And it was full body experience again of just this remembrance. I had a past life memory just kind of flood in at that time of this past life where I was hiding in this man's basement, and I was doing some type of readings. Like, I think it might have been with like cards of sorts. I don't know exactly, but I was a reader, and he was nice enough to let me hide in his basement because that wasn't allowed during that time. And basically all I wanted to do in that life was to share my gift and do readings and share my wisdom. And I really couldn't. I was in hiding, and it was really, really difficult. And the ending was pretty horrible, so I won't even go there. A lot of times past lives are not that pretty, but basically the remembrance came in through my voice. So I kind of went into the record later on to figure out like why this was happening. And I was told that my voice, like listening to my voice in that class, activated something to remember that other life. It was like a soul remembrance of the fact that in that life I wanted to share my gifts so badly, and I couldn't. And in this life I can. And that my soul was like, I can do this. I can do this. It's safe to do this. It's safe to be myself. It's safe to fully be out there sharing my gifts. So that was such an incredible, beautiful experience that I'll never forget, because it was like in the middle of the merging of the businesses, and it was, again, that kind of validation of, you're on the right path. So that was really, really beautiful. Okay, the next section is dreams. I work with a few people that have some really, really beautiful dreams that get so much guidance within dreams. So I'm curious if you have any cool dream experiences, comment. I'm curious. So one of the dreams that I've had, I actually kind of manipulated the dream. So I was having a scary dream, and I actually said to something was chasing me. I don't know what it was exactly, like something or someone was chasing me in the dream. And I turned around and I was like, no, stop. And I like put my hand out, and they like moved backward. And I realized like, oh, I'm so powerful. I can control the dream. And like I knew in the dream that it was a dream, which happens to me quite often, like where I know that I'm dreaming. And so I was able to actually manipulate the dream in that way, which I thought was very, very cool. I'm curious if anyone else has experienced that. And then the other dream one was that I knew I was dreaming in the dream. And then I was told why I was experiencing the dream. So it was like this whole dream about being in school, and then I was trying to get to another area in the school because the school was so big to take a test. I had a big test that I had to take, and then I wasn't going to make it in time, and I was so stressed that I wasn't going to make it in time. And I went to another teacher to write me a permission slip because I would be late to the test and all this stuff. And the teacher was writing me the permission slip, and I went to the teacher. I was like, I know this is a dream. I know this is a dream, but I'm having this dream because I'm having confidence issues. So that was like, wait, what? That was like kind of the why behind what was playing out within the dream and what that dream was symbolizing to me. So I thought that was like, I never had that again. I thought that was pretty wild to like not only know that you're dreaming, but to actually know like why this dream is coming in. So that was cool. Last one was not too long ago, actually. As I was falling asleep, oh yes, lucid dreaming happens to me too. Mostly I start flying after realizing I'm dreaming. Oh, that's very cool. I love that. That's awesome. I've never had a flying dream. I don't think I have, but that sounds magical. I would love to be flying. Okay, so the last one was one that I said happened pretty recently. Before going to bed, I wanted to hear from my grandmother. I want her to come in my dreams. So I decided to just kind of put that call out there. And I was like, Grandma, could you come into my dreams tonight? Can you meet me in my dreams? Lo and behold, she met me in my dreams. And it was actually a really like beautiful, like she looked exactly the way she looked. Like she had like an outfit I knew, and she gave me a hug, and it was very, very real. It was really beautiful, and it was real. So that was a really cool one too. And a reminder to ask your past loved ones to come into your dreams. Ask them, and ask them multiple times if they don't come in right away. They hear you, they're there for you. And it's just about, putting that call out there and again, being persistent with it. So that was all the stories that I wrote down to share because I wanted to leave it at about 30 minutes. I didn't want to be here all day, though I have a lot of fun experiences that I think maybe I'll share at a different time. And I'm sure more things will happen, but I hope that you take away from this that these experiences are so, so normal, and we all have these spiritual experiences because we are spiritual beings living this human life, and this is just who we are, and we're always connected. We can't sever that connection, and it's a beautiful thing to remember. And writing all of those experiences down, I recommend, because it's your evidence, right? We always look for evidence. We always want to know, where's my proof? How do I know it's real? Your journal will show you. Your journal will reflect back to you. So write everything down. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will save the live for those of you who couldn't watch the whole thing or missed it. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Your Inner Power with Krista. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a rating and review. This helps my podcast grow and reach new listeners. You can connect with me on Instagram at Krista Nastu. And if you're feeling called to go deeper, links to work with me can be found below. Until next time, remember, everything you need is already within.